Okay, so as I was saying before my internet rudely interrupted me, when it comes to the Bucks, they're kind of like Jordan in his prime versus Jordan in the Wizards era. Still good, but not good enough. And that's why like it's better to always be like a Carmelo Anthony type. While a lot of people like to say he was a top 5 player at one point, he never really was. He was never that dominant. But he was always good enough. And like when you watch him now, everyone's like, oh, he's still so good. I mean, he's lost a lot of steps, though. He's no longer the same physical guy down low. And, you know, he's got a much better three-point shot than at any other point in his career. So he's evolved. But the expectations on him are no longer the same. And that's okay because he was no longer viewed alongside the elite of the elite. No one's ever going to want to see LeBron come off the bench, but with Carmelo, yeah, that's fine. And I feel like that's the issue the Bucks are finding themselves in. They're no longer the elite. They're old. They're in their 30s. They're balding. Their knees are shot. They don't move like they once did. And they don't put on matches that are all that original. They have the same match. And that was the big issue I had with Full Gear as a whole.
Yeah.
So many of what we saw was the same spam finish ending. Big dumb. Just big dumb.
Yeah. It's yeah, that's a interesting thing. And there is some irony in that for a lot of people that's what they were for them in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Because in their minds it's like they do the same stuff. You can almost call the playbook before they do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different faces and whatnot. I mean, it's a good problem to have because you have reached a point, but if all you can do is change the aesthetic, and it's not like, well, the only time we saw them split up was in TNA, and that didn't necessarily work the best. It was okay at the time, but they better together. And it's like, well, yeah, and you called it a while ago. It's like they've been the middle-aged Bucks for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Never put young boy or any type of youthful exuberance into your name because at one point someone's going to say, you ain't that anymore, kid. Shawn Michaels ain't the Heartbreak Kid anymore. He's more like the Heartbreak Grandpa. No wonder you can't use a computer and super kicks people when he gets angry.
I'm just a sexy.
Gotta get some more of that oxygen. So, full disclosure, I want to just drop the first 5 minutes of the podcast and just do this, as long as we don't drop the internet again.
Gotcha.
So, up until the six-man Falls Count on any match, the show's been fine. Cody and Pac defeated Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo. Talk about 4 dudes that already lost all their height. Now, Cody is kind of on his own Cody path. People don't like Cody for some reason, and it's not hard. Marcus, let me ask you a question. Do you know what Cody Rhodes' favorite movie franchise is?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Prequels.
Let me ask you this. Do you know Tim Duncan's favorite movie franchise?
No.
No. I don't think anyone does. Tim Duncan will always be beloved. And there's a reason for that. Because Tim Duncan went to the Greg Popovich School of Interviews. Hey, Tim, what do you think you guys need to do tonight to win? Play well. And if you guys lose, what do you think the problem is? We didn't play well. Fascinating stuff, Tim. But you know what he never did? Became polarizing. Because Tim Duncan knew when to shut the fuck up. Cody Rhodes seems to actually think that engaging with social media is helpful. It's not. Because the minute you put an opinion out there, you are making an enemy. And Cody loves to incite fuckery. The dude intentionally says inflammatory things to incite people. He literally went out and said The Last Jedi was the best Star Wars movie of all time because it was subversive. Yeah, you're right, it was subversive, Cody. It subverted my expectations of expecting something good. But see, that's the issue with Cody. Cody seems to think that if he puts an opinion out there, he should be allowed to not offend people. Yeah, but that's not the way the world works. So when Cody starts talking about things like solving racism or like not understanding, the plight of certain people until he started fucking one, it's like, God, you sound like a goddamn ignorant tool bag.
Oh no.
Yeah. Do you remember when he's like, Brandy, said something to the effect like, no, Cody said, what did he say? Cody said something to the effect like,
Yeah, he said he didn't see color.
and Brandy
And
said that like, that's the problem. And I'm like,
yeah,
Jesus, Cody. Like, even if that
if you,
conversation happened, why would you admit
yeah,
to it?
yeah. If you don't see color, then you can't see my experience. And now it's like, okay, do you only see through the lens when she's calling it to your attention, or are you actively going out and trying to be on the right side of history on your own? Because she makes it convenient for you, and the being on the right side of history or being on the right side of most things from a moral perspective, oftentimes they ain't convenient, specifically in the times we are in now. So if you come off disingenuous in any of that, on top of the not so cool things that have come from both of them on PR side, it's not going well.
And that's like the whole thing. Like Cody's entire methodology or theology is that he wants to be the super baby face, but he doesn't realize that everything he does is pissing people off. Firstly, the neck tattoo. It's dumb. You look dumb. You will always be dumb for having that dumb on your throat. Secondly, it's not even properly placed. So it's it's going to morph funkily as you get older. You dumbass. Thirdly, every time someone shows up in the company worth talking about, they're stuck working with Cody. Fourthly, he compared himself to John Cena. Like, talk about, like, let's go back to the idea of metal music. You're the new big metal hotness, and you're like, yeah, I want to be the next Michael Bolton. Oh. He then took himself out of the world title chase for the entirety of his career. Can never go for the belt again. And he comes off as this smug douchebag who is lost and oblivious to everything else. And it's like, I can't stand him. And I used to love him. And now I can't stand him. And it's because I get too much of him. Having some ambiance, some mystique is a good thing. Kevin Sullivan spoke about the reason why Goldberg got over was because he didn't speak. It was the mystique of Goldberg that got him over. Cody talk too much. In the words of the great Iron Sheik, fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like hearing you talk about is like your classic term of like, I want to like your itis, except he's like perpetuating it. Like, you want to like me itis?
Yes, he is he is the inverse of the theory. While there are fans that want to like people like FTR because they have want to like itis, they're good. I like them. Cody is, will you like me itis? Cody keeps saying, you like me. You like me. And I'm sitting there going, I did, you clinger. I look outside my window and I see Cody holding the boombox. And I'm like, Cody, this ain't say anything. I don't want to fucking see your boombox holding ass outside my window. Go home. You got a family, a daughter. I think a daughter. Maybe it was a boy. I don't remember. But you got a kid. Go fuck off. Fuck off, Cody.
It's weird, man, and I'm right there with you. Like Cody, I've been, I was a fan of watching the guy when he was not as good looking, getting like literally bitch slapped every week by Hardcore Holly when he first debuted in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we followed his journey up until from there. But it's this weird thing now where it's like he does stuff, and it's well intentioned, but it comes off douchery. But obviously, he's not like an outright a-hole like some people we see in wrestling oftentimes. But I was like, how long can you go with like these missteps and coming off with the excuse for good intent when ultimately it comes down to you being willfully ignorant with a lot of this stuff? Because you're not so charming that it's like, oh, that's just Cody. Like, no, you're almost, what, 40? been in the industry how long? You're the son of who? You're running what company or have a significant stake in what wrestling company? You're trying to always be ahead of what game now? Like you, at this point, a lot of this stuff is being willfully ignorant, and you're later like, okay, here come the backlash. You want to like reality? It's not working for a lot of people.
It's really not. And the funny thing is with this blonde hair, it feels like his face has been compressed a bit. And I'm gonna send you a cartoon character. I'm not gonna say it out loud because I don't want this to seem like we're bullying the guy. But this is something that I've just realized. He looks like a Thundercat character, and not the one you think. So here's a picture of Cody. And then the character that he looks like is the foremost character. Tell me they're not the same fucking person.
Oh my god.
Tell me that's not Cody's face. You tell me, Marcus.
Oh, oh my god, that is hilarious.
So Cody's not the only problem in this scenario. Now, I know you're a big Pac guy. And I try not to begrudge or belittle people that my friends like because I don't want to be that guy. But Pac has been exposed, in my opinion, for the limited personality that he is. He's not very charismatic. He has no character. And I'm just like, all right, you're a name, but you're not the substance that this promotion needs. You're a great mid-carder. I ain't putting a belt on you, though. A six-man title, sure. If they do a cruiserweight belt, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not putting the world title on Pac. I'm not putting the TNT title on Pac. I'm not putting the tag titles on Pac. Same goes with Andrade El Idolo. Like, different sides of the pond, same issues. And Malachi Black, who can actually cut a promo, looks like he was slapped in the face with a dust-covered coal glove. And whatever ambiance that he once had is gone because he has to essentially limit himself to being on Cody's level, which is a huge step down for a lot of guys. Now, it's a step up for Pac and El Idolo, but not for Malachi Black, so it's like, all right.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm there with you with Pac when it comes to personality. I mean, he really didn't have a personality as Adrian Neville, and then obviously I think for me, in terms of a potential character, he peaked with the whole King of the Cruiserweights thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought he really found something when he did that. And then obviously we've seen how that's kind of devolved as 205 Live as a whole. But I thought he was in his bag with that. And then obviously comes AEW is doing the whole boss to Pac thing, and it's cool, and we all know he can go. And him and El Idolo have absolutely had some of the best matches in the company this year. But yeah, he's not that next level guy in terms of like he ain't MJF on the mic.
No.
But I'd rather watch a Pac match.
Yes.
So that's a unique place to be in. And the Malachi thing, in far better position than he was in the other place, but that's not exactly a high bar. And two, I think somebody said this while I was listening to him. I think that eye thing, he's still selling the eye thing.
Well, that's
which
something.
Which is the only reasonable response to that. Because it's like, you talking about the eye thing with, who that was, Seth or Mysterio? Mysterio took his eye? Or was it Seth? I don't remember.
It is Seth, I
No,
think.
it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, he ain't in closets anymore, so I guess that's a, you know.
Like, it's something.
Yeah, it's something. And Elite, I mean, I like the name. I like he come out. He reminds me of looks like he should be in Lij in New Japan when he comes out. Uh, but yeah,
Maybe that's how they salvage him. So I didn't watch the Britt Baker match because Britt Baker matches to me are slightly less impressive Angelina Love matches from 2008. I don't need to see these anymore.
You said Angelina Love matches?
Yeah, like Britt Baker to me is Angelina Love circa 2008, maybe 2009, in terms of like, she's not athletic. She has no athletic bone in her body. Her personality is she's a dentist. Cool story. Could you not get into real med school?
Oh, I'm not-
I'm sorry. I can grab a pair of pliers and yank the tooth out myself. I don't need you.
Jazz, that big nose goblin from Halloween Town.
Basically,
Oh, doctor, that didn't hurt at all.
I'm,
DMD.
I'm pretty sure she can't even perform surgeries to extract a wisdom tooth, which are the sole reasons dentists should exist.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Had all four taken out. That aftermath is interesting.
Yes, and if you brush and floss your teeth twice a day, you'll never need a dentist unless you need to get a tooth removed due to compacted wisdom teeth. Now, I don't know if a DMD can do that. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. I gotta do a little research. But I don't see Britt Baker talking about doing surgeries, so I gotta imagine she's not a surgeon. A dental surgeon, I should emphasize. But I don't care about Britt Baker. Like, her whole shtick is I'm a dentist and I'm dating Adam Cole. Like, those are her two big personality notes.
And there's some irony there too, because is it just me or do they kind of wrestle alike? Like I get the same vibe. Like I've always said about Adam Cole, he personality is whatever that Adam Cole, baby, cool, okay, but he's always been a guy watching him like I'd rather see other people do his entire arsenal of moves.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like it's moves from other people anyway. That do it better. And with her, she don't really click with me as a performer. Not saying she can't go, but she don't click with me. But I do appreciate her willingness to get in situations like she's done in those more hardcore matches. Because a lot of women they just won't do them. But she'll go in a what do you call it? Impact Steel Asylum.
Yeah.
Or something like she'll go in something like that with a I was finna call it Diamante Thunder Rosa. She'll go in something like that with Thunder Rosa, which I appreciate because a lot of women just they won't go. It's like, oh my God, my face. No, I'm not doing it. But she'll go. That being said, all my attention is gonna be on the Thunder Rosa because that's who I click with as a character. But yeah, Tania Conti, Atara Conti, I wanted to see what she could do. Obviously, she kind of didn't necessarily get the, I guess, fair shake or whatever in NXT. And she got some moves about her as well. But as a whole, it's continuing to be a thing with the women's division. They still got to get some significant, consistent legs up under them. And to me, Ruby Soho has been an okay addition. But you're going to need like 3 or 4 more Thunder Rosas for me. Because Cargill is cool, but she still got a long way to go.
Okay. So I looked it up. Britt Baker is a DMD, a doctor of dental medicine. While Isaac Yankum was a DDS, doctor of dental surgery. So Glenn Jacobs has more essence in the world of dentistry than Britt Baker.
That's his debut character, right?
One of. Like, it's his debut WWF character, yeah. I think he was a Christmas tree at one point in Deep South or Smoky Mountain. But yeah, it's not great. So yeah, the women's division sucks in AEW. And there's no, like, you can bring in Ruby Soho or Ember Moon or Trish Stratus or God. God's a woman. I don't know. It's not going to improve things. It's the Vince McMahon situation all over again, just with the women. It has nothing to do with the talent. It has everything to do with who's booking it. And this is part of the problem with AEW, I think, long term, is a lot of their booking right now is revolving around all-star, first-time ever type of matchups. They're not really building up individual young wrestlers on their main shows. Maybe they're doing it on AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation and AEW Dark Elevation Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. But I don't have 14 hours to watch terrible, shitty YouTube wrestling. I'm good. If you can't tell me your story in 2 hours on Wednesday, And 1 hour on Friday, I don't need to watch your shit.
Yeah, and it's like and not looking down on anybody, but guys
I
like the
will.
line. All these guys are putting their bodies on the line, but the guys like the librarian and this isn't me being homophobic, but doggone
Sonny Kiss offers nothing to the promotion.
yeah, Sonny Kiss. I can't click with the dude on any like I didn't click with him in Lucha Underground. Um, so he doesn't he got performers don't do anything for me. And they can perform on those shows all they want to, but I can't see them evolving to stages like Dynamite and these big pay per views. Like to me, the biggest thing they had with Sonny Kiss, him do anyway, was when he faced off with Cody for that TNT Championship, and I feel like they lobbed him a ball, if you will, because of like a PR aesthetic, and also was that the time that they was kind of embroiled in that whole coming out situation, or speaking out situation, or something like that.
Around that
So
time, I want to say.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like that was a lob, and kudos to him for getting the opportunity, doing whatever. But Sonic Kids just don't click with me at all, and I feel like those shows are what guys like him are kind of there for. Because again, they got a lot of names, but they're not necessarily doing what they could be doing with a lot of those names. Like, what the hell are they still doing? Is Cage injured? Like, what are we doing?
I think part of the issue when you look at someone like Sonny Kiss is he's in the wrong industry in a specific instance. Anthony Bowens is at the very least bisexual, if not outright gay. But yet, no one's going to look at Anthony Bowens and go, yeah, that dude can kick my ass. Like, that dude is
Yeah.
spun steel, 5-tool player, badassery, right? Sonny Kiss is an effeminate gay man, and that's okay.
Yeah.
The problem comes with your audience. It's like you
Yeah.
could be the best vegan cook in the world, but if you show up to a pork barbecue contest, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, it's it's just all me to take him serious. Like if he ever runs into Kingston, if he hits him with that spinning back fist, he's gonna scream.
Yeah, and part of the part of the big issue though with Sonny Kiss is like he would be very popular if like because like if you watch like RuPaul's Drag Race or like those types of shows with more effeminate men, those are very popular shows. They do very well in the ratings, but the people watching them are usually members of the queer community or women, straight women.
Yeah,
Those aren't the demographics that pro wrestling attracts. Now, having guys like Sonny Kiss on your roster is good for PR, but 98% of the audience isn't going to care one way or another if he's on the show or not. And you know this because when's the last time Sonny Kiss has been on pay-per-view? And how often do you hear the bulk of AEW fans demanding for Sonny Kiss? It's an unfortunate reality that he's currently in where the show that he's on doesn't cater to the people who would be his biggest fan base. That sucks. It's just how it is, though. I don't know if he would find more success with guys like Effie, who are doing like what was the show, the Big Gay Brunch or something like that. I don't know if he would find a bigger base with a group like that, but I can't imagine that spin-off group of GCW, Effie's Big Gay Brunch, is doing all that well financially in terms of being able to support guys for an entire year. But it's good for a one-off and maybe to develop a brand. But I think the best or worst thing you could say about Sonny Kiss is he's ahead of his time. Like right now he's not going to be at most people's
cup of tea.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So he might be in 10 years, but right now he's not, and that's his big hindrance.
Dude, this is an interesting conversation with him because we talk about it all the time. But do you think with how he's presented his character and the way he wrestles, because that's really the disconnect specifically with this particular audience, because this is a real hardcore wrestling audience that AEW is catering to. So like I said, it is a 100% mismatch if they ever try to do something between him and Kingston. Kingston's just too real.
Yeah.
Like when we get to him, that match with Punk, it's like, well, they really got beef. Like they really, so like that'll be a disconnect. But do you think somebody like Sonny Kiss, because like I guess the worst thing I could say about Sonny Kiss, like I don't, like the other guy's gonna be trying to beat him up, but I don't know if he's gonna be trying to like either defend himself or give a lap dance.
Yeah,
Like
his ring personality, his on-screen presence doesn't really jive well with the idea of a combat sport element.
Yeah,
He's very
yeah,
much in a Danhausen, Man Scout, Rosemary type ilk, where he's a better character than he
yeah,
is a wrestler.
and- yeah,
And that's where he shines best, I think. But when you put him in the ring, you can tell that he's severely limited in what
yeah,
he can do. He is athletic. I think he used to be a gymnast, I think people said, or
yeah.
a cheerleader.
Something like that. Yeah, I think it's cheering and something in that. It's definitely something in that area.
Yeah,
Um,
and not like a high school cheerleader, but like if I remember correctly, I think he was a competitor, like a competitive cheerleader, or like they do all like the back handsprings and the throwing people in the
exactly,
air 100 feet until they die or some bullshit like that.
exactly. And because that type of those things are integrated into how he performs in the ring, it doesn't ever come off impactful.
Hmm.
Like he's gonna potentially put away a world champion. Obviously, somebody like Cody or Omega or stuff will sell for it, but it's like watching those lucha matches where it's like I like this stuff, but every move they do has to be set up where they have to take the arm and run across here, and the guy it's like you can see the guy allowing them to do this. So it comes off worse. But I wonder, do you think he fits specifically better in an intergender context?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
I think he would do very well in that actually, because like just looking at him physically, he's maybe my height, but he's so small. Like he's not a very he's not even compact because that kind of implies that like you're mushing down the muscles into a smaller frame. He's just a
and like
little person. Like he's a tiny dude.
yeah,
So I feel like he would do very well in those types of situations. And I think if you really want to steer into the attracting that demographic, I think pairing him with Nyla Rose would be a very interesting combination.
mm,
I think there's something there. But I also want to point out that I also feel like he's on the back end of a very serious situation that people aren't really talking about. He's a very sexualized wrestler.
yeah,
And now I want to be very clear. I've heard nothing bad about Sonny Kiss in my years of covering the sport. However, for the longest time, you heard nothing bad about Joey Ryan either. And Joey Ryan wrestled a very sexualized character. I and you can go on record saying that we were never fans of Joey Ryan before or after these speaking out incidents. But I
yeah,
feel like now with the speaking out stuff out there and Joey Ryan being exposed for the predator that he is, the idea of having an overly sexualized male character is very much taboo at the moment and like looked down upon, which is going to hinder Sonny Kiss to a degree because him shaking his ass was kind of like his big whole shtick. Like he's very sexualized. But now
yeah,
you don't want to steer into that skid because you have so many individuals speaking out against Joey Ryan, and he had a similar style. But you also have a lot of male wrestlers speaking out against other male wrestlers for indiscretions done against them in the ring and backstage. So there's a lot of stuff going on that I think has kind of culminated in Sonny Kiss being the most unlucky wrestler on the AEW roster. And that's with Cody there.
yeah, yeah. Because it's an interesting conversation on a roster where his brother, being Goldust, had a very gridlock on that type of style.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what got him over, and is interesting because obviously he's evolved that character now to where I don't even know how a Gold Dust would do in this particular era because paralleling that with Sunny Kiss, like with all these conversations around consent and stuff of that nature, and just all these more intimate conversations about sexual situations in general. Like it just what was the line from Batman Forever? It just raises too many questions because what happens is like you're gonna have people like I don't have anything against gay dudes or gay wrestlers and performers, but it's like if a guy is in the ring with him and he doesn't necessarily like being twerked upon while he's in the ring corner, if he says something out against it, he's obviously going to be deemed a homophobe because that's a narrative.
Right. So there's a lot that you need to kind of walk the tightrope on when you have a character like Sonny Kiss. I
Yeah.
do think there's a way you can pivot away from the sexuality but keep the essence of who he is as a character. Ring of Honor is essentially done, at least as we've known. They're going back to their 2002, we're going to just hire guys to do shows route. If you were to bring in Dalton Castle
Boom.
to pair with
Yeah.
Sonny Kiss, have the same mannerisms, the same look, maybe more peacockish, but tone down the sexuality or the sexual kind of movements,
Yeah.
and let him be Sonny Kiss, but less, dependent on things like twerking. I think you could find a way to get him back on TV in a way that is
Yeah.
palatable, and realistically able to promote and do something with. So I think that's your way forward if you want to salvage the Sonny Kiss gimmick. Now, that's as a gimmick. If he wants to go and turn himself into, um, I'm trying to think of a luchador name, Sandrade El Quisadre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go underneath a mask and just change up his style and character completely. I think you might have something there, but as far as the character goes, I think you need to find the right pairing to
Yeah.
bring him to a different level as a character. That being said, Britt Baker's still boring as shit.
Yeah, it's not, and I get it. The narrative about her eventually getting a title is it was something they've been building to, and she's doing what she can, and she's there. But I feel like I like to see names. Obviously, I'm biased to Thunder Rosa, and I would like to see names like Big Swole get more involved and have more
Mm-hmm.
consistency. And I know she has ongoing health issues, so shout out to her. But um, like I said, I'm also a fan of Jade Cargill, but she has a long way to go because she's learning really in real time.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause this is her first, specifically, she's learning, and she said this in the interview. And I'm not only learning how to wrestle, but I'm learning how to wrestle for TV in real time, which is it's a different beast. So she got some ways to go, and like you said, I think Nyla Rose could do with somebody, maybe pairing with her. Obviously, they added Vicky to it, but I don't know if that's necessarily had the momentum shift that they wanted it to. And some of the other names kind of just falling into place, but they really need somebody to kind of come there and shake that situation up because it kind of has been kind of lame duckish for the time. Now, then you having another women's title in the midst of that. It's going to be interesting seeing what they do with it.
Yeah, and I feel like the issue with Vicky pairing with Nyla, it comes down to a very simple theology that people don't really look at. Vicky Guerrero got over because she was with Edge. Nyla Rose needs help getting over. So pairing her with someone like Vicky isn't going to work because you have to kind of look at it like a mathematical equation. Not a complicated one, but like let's say, the end game goal is to get your act to 100, right?
Yeah.
And if you have someone who's at a 45 in overall, you want to make sure that you pair them with somebody who's at least a 55 in overall so you can get to that 100. But the problem is Vicky has never been that high. Like, she's never been someone who's up there. If you pair her with an Edge or a Chavo or a Ray or a whomever, she'll add something to it. But she doesn't have enough on her own to bring someone like a Nyla Rose up the ladder, so to speak. So you need to find someone who can do that. Now, part of the issue is a lot of the people in AEW often don't get enough airtime to make themselves relevant enough to bring up some of these individuals. I think the only manager in AEW right now who can actually do something to bring up Nyla Rose, but would be a terrible fit character-wise, would be Jake Roberts, because everyone else is barely used or is often just a behind-the-scenes addition. Like, I don't know any great Tully Blanchard interviews since he joined AEW, but I always see him on TV. So I feel like if you're trying to get Nyla Rose over, you need to find someone who can complement her or raise her up to the level better. And Vicky and her don't have anything in common besides, I think, sharing a heritage. So like that's why
Yeah.
I think pairing Nyla with Sonny Kiss would be an interesting idea because it would be so dramatically different than what we're getting that it may bring eyeballs to the product. Or you pair Nyla Rose with someone of far more name brand value and get her up that ladder that way. But until then, I feel like anyone you pair her with isn't going to work. And I feel like anyone you pair Vicky with, because they're giving Vicky a lot of younger names, less established names, isn't going to work either. You got to figure out that balancing act. That's why it's so good to see Cody with MJF at the beginning and Cody with Anthony. What was his name? Agogo, Agogo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adodio, Adodio. I'm pretty sure that was Tiny Toons. Pretty sure that was Tiny Toons. I digress. So like, yeah, we'll see what happens. By the by, did Jade Cargill wrestle in the Indies before AEW?
I want to say no. I don't think she did.
I know she's a fitness model,
I,
obviously.
I think she had a brief stint, but I think she was definitely in sports.
Okay.
She definitely wet her beak in maybe a couple places, but nothing I don't think significant. Um, but yeah, she's definitely got a background in obviously like I think basketball and some other stuff.
Definitely
Because the girl,
bodybuilding. Definitely
yeah,
bodybuilding.
she basically has She-Hulks.
Yeah. Did she
Yeah,
dress up as the bunny chick from My Hero? Is that this picture I'm seeing?
I don't know, but I did. Please share it.
Uh, so moving on though, while you look at that photo, Punk versus Kingston may have been my favorite match tonight because it was just the most physical. And this is the thing I want wrestling fans to know. It's okay to not have a 30-minute match that has 46 near falls. The Punk Kingston match told a really good story. I liked it. It was great. 11 minutes long. Have you ever watched a real fight? They're not that long.
Oh my God, this is that character.
That's what I
Thank
thought.
you.
You're welcome.
Christmas came early, but
She sees
yeah, I
you
mean
when you're sleeping. She knows when you're
that is
awake.
the perfect from anime to screen. It does because you see how that character is built, but that's crazy.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, this was. I mean, that was like you said, man. That was that classic JR slobber knocker. There was nothing pretty about that match. It was never intended to be. Like
Nope.
I don't know if they really got beef or they just selling the hell out of it. But
There is
that's
truth. There is truth to it. Now, it may not be relevant anymore, but this goes back to when both men were doing what was it, IWA Mid South, the
yeah.
Ian Rotten promotion. Apparently, Punk called Eddie Kingston and his tag team partner at the time. This is like 2002, 2003. Reckless and dangerous because one of them
Mm.
ended up getting hurt, and I think one of them hurt Colt Cabana. I think at the time, so like there was some resentment there. But where Kingston and Punk are now, I feel like that would be a silly thing to still be mad about. So I feel like they're drawing on that past to emphasize the issues at hand. Now, this match worked really well, mostly because Punk played into the booing at the end of the match, which I thought was great. Like he was going for the GTS, and then he stopped and he looked around and like he kind of just like basked in the booze. So I was like, oh, the difference between Punk and Cody is Punk doesn't get afraid of people who don't like him.
Yeah, he's also 100% committed to being able to sway. Because obviously, I mean, he could have went directly into being a heel, but after that 7 year absence, and with the Chicago, like it was too much adoration and love that he got to turn heel.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. But the way that he is naturally, it'll be easy for him to go heel and still get that love because they just want to see him. But yeah, the five knuckle shuffle play, I know that got a reaction, um,
I
and
love
stuff. But
that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but yeah, to your point, man, like it don't need to be 30 minutes. And near falls, that was the beauty of this match. They literally, actually, this was an anti near fall match.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, no, I'm gonna stand your ass up. We finna swing this out. So that was some good stuff. And like you said, he got the real color and stuff. And this is something that they could keep going with. I don't necessarily think this is a one and done. It could be, but I mean, you got two of the best guys on the mic, two guys that a lot of times when they talking, it doesn't feel fake at all. Specifically Kingston, like you really feel everything that man says, from the mannerisms to the grit of it. So yeah, I'm like you, man. This is probably my favorite match of the night, and we need to see more matches like this because if you really pissed with somebody, it you're not trying to whoop their ass for an hour. You're just trying to get to them and get out of there.
You're not gonna go up on the top rope and like balance yourself, and you're gonna stand there and wait and wait and wait, and you're gonna do and then you're gonna jump, and the guy's gonna no. You're just gonna start fucking throwing. Now I will say this: I watch a YouTube channel called Wrestling Bios, and he's doing this recap of the Monday Night War, basically giving his opinion on who wins every week, and then reviews the pay per views. And he just did, I think it was Spring Stampede '97. Main event was Savage and DDP. But there was an undercard match between William Regal and Prince Ikea. And there was a spot in the match where Ikea jumps to the top rope to try to do like a twisting body splash. And like as Ikea jumps, Regal just walks out of the way. And Ikea eats Matt. And that's what wrestlers should be doing more often because it's so real. Like, why would I just stand there and go, whoa, what are you doing?
Wait, everybody gather around me. He's about to jump. Wait.
Join me as we tell the story of Pentagon the Fly as he jumps from 30 feet in the air under 4 people. No.
One of the moves I hated, that damn Alberto Del Rio, hold the ropes while I jump down on you. Hated it.
Ugh. Ugh. Now, if you could do that stunt without having to hold the ropes or like without the weight, like 'cause like Loki did something like that similarly, where they would like be like doing some jostling in the corner, and then Loki would like chop the shit out of the dude, and the dude would fall back, and then as they're sitting up, Loki hits them. But they're not holding onto the ropes as Alberto waggles on the top rope and and then jumps. No, Loki's just like bam, 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 and you're like, oh my god, Loki's so fast. Unlike Alberto.
Going back to that first dodge, Joe had something similar to that when he was in TNA, and then transitioned when he just like throw him in the corner. They try to do like a rebound crossbody. He just move out the way.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I love that. And he was just kind of like, it was great. Speaking of things that are great, this match wasn't. The Inner Circle defeated the Men of the Year and ATT. Now, here's the thing. I like ATT. I love Dan Lambert. I think he's one of those. I think he's this generation's version of Vicky Guerrero and Karen Jarrett. Like someone who came from outside of the wrestling world and just nails it every time.
It's a great mix. That's a great mix.
It is. And like these are 3 individuals who have a love for wrestling but never really a desire for it. Like they didn't grow up going, I want to be the next, Sensational Sherry or the next, Grand. I just realized the Grand Wizard's nickname is also the top term for the KKK. I'm so sorry, Grand Wizard, that you got stuck with that. Grand Wizard was an old school. Was it the Grand Wizard? Shit, I gotta double check now. He was an old Grand Wizard WWE. Ernie Roth. Okay, he was known as the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. Thank God. Thank God. I didn't want to be wrong on that one. But Karen and Vicky and Dan Lambert never grew up wanting to be Paul Bearer or the Grand Wizard or Sensational Sherry. So to see them do that and be in their own right legends, maybe Lambert's a little too soon to be a legend, but that's a cool thing. It's I like seeing Dan Lambert. And I think Junior Dos Santos has a real fucking career in pro wrestling if he wants it. He was great. And he's always happy and he looks like a Greek god. And he's a world champion, and he has hands and legs that can knock you out legitimately. Whew, if he puts in some months, I would build a promotion around Junior Dos Santos. Andre Arlovski tried. He tried. He tried.
It's interesting. They came in, and it's always a lot of times a coin toss with this because with a lot of these real life fighters, they have to dial it back because you have to make it look like it hurts when you're used to dial them out. And sometimes they don't always translate, but I think this particular group coming in, being led by Lambert and going back and forth with somebody like Jericho who could give it as good as he gets, helps. And then you somebody like Paige Van Zandt who's just adorable, and she has, she's been really hamming it up with it and stuff and doing that thing. She could be this sexy badass and all that stuff. But to me, the people that's been lost in the shuffle of all this, ironically, is Scorpio Sky and All Ego. They come off like extras in this whole thing. And that's real interesting considering that this specifically started with them, I guess from a narrative perspective, bringing in America Top Team to mess with the Inner Circle, but they oftentimes come off like the bit players, which is some irony because essentially Scorpio Sky has been trying to elevate himself in the wake of no longer being with Daniels, and All Ego has just been there in a lot of ways. So
It's ironic, considering his best buddy is the top face now in Impact, and Ethan Page can't even get work where he's not losing all the time. In fact, I think if you were to look at most of those Impact signings, they're all guys who essentially jumped and failed. None of them got over. So I think that's interesting. Now, I'm looking at the cage match, and Ethan Page has a lot more wins than I realized, but most of them are against, like, Ryan Mantle, Baron Black, Danny Limelight, Mike Seidel, Alex Reynolds, Terrence Hughes, and Terrell Hughes, Fuego del Sol, the Dark Order. Like, he's not beating anyone that matters. So, Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. So, dude named Five. And they're all on Dark Elevation or Dark. So, that ain't helping you, kid. that ain't helping you at all. So, if you're Ethan Page, I think,
yeah,
you're not exactly where you want to be.
yeah. The match did what it needed to do for the crowd or whatever. It was never gonna be anything near no classic. Wasn't supposed to be. But Lambert did his thing, hammed it up, and Jericho got to do a cool tribute to Eddie
Mm-hmm.
uh, in that match. So that was cool to see because I think it was I don't know if it was to the day but the anniversary of his death. So
Close.
that was cool. Not a bad frog splash. Not a
No.
bad frog.
The Inner Circle does nothing for me, though.
I get
At
it.
all.
I get it. And with the golden child of it in the circle being Guevara, I get it.
Santana and Ortiz just completely wasted, and then you have Jake Hager. Jake Hager. Swagger. I thought Jack Swagger was a member of ATT, actually. Because he's fighting in Bellator currently. I thought he was a member of American Top Team, but I guess not. Although Hager hasn't fought in Bellator in over a year, so who knows what he's doing. All right. Anyway, main event, Hangman Page defeated Kenny Omega. I don't get Page. I don't see the appeal. He's not a very good promo, but I think people like the fact that he's a drunkard and that he dresses like a cowboy and rides a horse. And I think that's the reason why they like him so much, because I think he's pretty bland out otherwise. So
No, you pretty much nailed it. But yeah, I mean, look, I think benefits to him winning the championship. It was something that's been building over like a year and a half, going all the way back to when he initially, I think he lost at Jericho when he first won it.
mm-hmm.
And then obviously the pairing with Omega, the breakdown with Omega, him falling out not only with Omega but with the Bucks as well. Then him turning into this drunkard, lackadaisical douchebag. Then I guess growing with this cowboy-ish type of deal. I'm with you. He still doesn't really work for me. Um, I think for some reason he clicked better with me as a I guess character when he was in New Japan. But like I said, that the very environment of New Japan breeds a different vibe with a lot of guys. Um, so I like it. It was cool to see, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not there with Hangman. But I can appreciate how the crowd is more into him now than they were, and the fact that they didn't hot shot it when they could have, and they
Mm-hmm.
waited for it. And kudos to Omega, who he's been hit and miss with us for a time, but then you find out that he's essentially been wrestling for the past 2 years with some real bad vertigo.
That's
Um,
interesting. I didn't know about that.
yeah, yeah, he said he's a lot of times he has to try to get straight before the match, or he's gonna have a bad weight because a lot of times the stuff that he does with the backflips and the dives and stuff, it'll just be points in the match where like he's in the heat of it and everything's spinning and he just has to go with it. And I'm like, that is not good if you've been doing that consistently for 2 years with apparently bad shoulders to the point where he can't really lift his arms good. So this is both a culmination to on long-term storytelling and a well-deserved break for a guy that's been essentially, the emblem on the company for the past year. So, kudos to that.
It could very well also explain why Christian Cage took over the title run in Impact instead of it going to Kenny. there may have been a general consensus between everyone involved that if Kenny's vertigo is getting as bad as it is to impair him in the ring, then we need to make sure that this isn't an issue. So I could obviously, with more context to a situation, you can obviously see the benefits for doing it. Now, there's still a part of me that thinks that they just didn't want Kenny to lose until they lost to Hangman, which, again, fair. It's your story. You get to tell it the way you want. But on the other hand, that should have been something that's discussed beforehand. But that's just me. You could have had Cody do it. I think, Josh Alexander defeating Cody would have been just as big as beating Kenny. But what do I know? I don't care about Kenny. I don't care about Adam Page. So, the main event did nothing for me. But, I'm glad that fans of Adam Page got that win because I know, with Swish, he's very, very big fan of the cowboy-ish. So I'm glad he got it.
Shout out to Swish, man. But it was thought it was a fair solid show. They've kind of had a banner year, it seems. Maybe not necessarily with that very much forgettable finish. I think that was Revolution with that pyro going wrong.
Oh yeah, the barbed wire explosion match.
Yeah.
So I do want to move this along because this took way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long to get through. One more note from AEW. I thought I had a photo for it, but I guess I don't. Or I do, and it's in the wrong place. Jay Lethal has signed with AEW, and he's going to be entering into a feud with the TNT champion Sammy Guevara. Of course, this brought up conversations of the accusations of Jay Lethal using his place and power in Ring of Honor in 2016, 2017 to try to curry sexual favors from Taylor Hendricks and another woman. Now, that was allegedly investigated by Ring of Honor and individuals among Ring of Honor. Now, I say allegedly because I don't believe the WWE when they investigated, quote-unquote, Randy Orton. And I have no reason to doubt that Sinclair Broadcasting's just as skeezy as WWE. So I don't know if they actually investigated Jay Lethal. I will say that they said that they would investigate Jay Lethal. Nothing came of it that we're aware of. And Taylor Hendricks has said nothing about it ever since. Payoff? Possibly. Lawsuit threatened? Maybe. They worked it out